Hello, everybody. I hope we're all doing good. It's your girl Seeker in the house. I was just passing by to say hello to everybody. I hope we're all doing fantastic. There's just a few things that I've observed that I just wanted to highlight here. This is not going to be a very long video. I'll come back a bit later to have a very important conversation. Lessons that we can all learn from real life situations that are trending on social media. But for right now, all that I want to say is that the only premise, the only reason why anybody should get married is because you love the other party. You think that you can make a life together and you want to get ahead and make that life together. The premise of marriage cannot be because you're trying to prove a point to somebody else. I'm going to prove to this person that me too are marriage material. I'm going to prove to that other person that me too I can pull a guy who's going to love me more than sense and going to give me everything that I ask him to. That is not a good enough reason to be married or want to be married to somebody. The second thing that I wanted to talk about here is that anything that you see about somebody when you're dating, when you're courting, when you guys are going out and you're having all these butterfly feelings inside of your tummy, that is only going to get amplified when you get married. I repeat, anything. God will make a way soon. Good morning to you, my darling. Anything that you see when you're dating or courting or whatever you guys call it these days with somebody, that thing or those things are only going to get more amplified in marriage. And so if you don't like what you see, please back off. Get out whilst you still can. Don't think that you can change somebody. I can pray it away. I can make them change. Oh, maybe it's just because we're not married yet. Oh, when we get married, it's going to change, because it will not. It never does. And it is not your job to try to change anybody. You cannot change anybody. The only person that can change is the person themselves, making a conscious decision to say, this attitude of mine is not good enough and I want to change. I want to be better. I want to be a better version of myself. Then they change. They have to have that conviction. You can't make anybody change. Understand that. Accept that, so that you can have a good life. And so if you're dating somebody and the person is cheating with anything in skirt, my sister, that is only going to get amplified when you get married. Good morning to everybody. Ade, good morning. Peron, good morning. Nen, good morning. Good morning to everybody. If you're dating a woman who is abusive, when she gets upset, she throws temper tantrums and does all kinds of things. Those things are only going to get amplified in the marriage. And so if you don't like what you see, please leave it where it is and move on with your life. Don't think that you can change them when you get married. The third thing that I wanted to talk about here is, a lot of us want to get married. Everybody wants to get married because they think marriage is just, the wedding day. When you see people all dressed up nicely, tuxedos and all the white dress, the lace and all of that. But that is just one day of the rest of your lives. The real marriage begins when the two people get inside that house or whatever they're living in together and begin to spend that life together. That one day is not the marriage. It is when they're done with all of that thing and they get inside the house. That is when the marriage itself begins. So don't be fooled by that one day or however many days of excitement and think that that is what the marriage is going to be like on a daily basis. These are two people, real people in real time, that are getting together to be in that marriage. It is not always going to be a bed of roses. Difficult times will come, challenging times will come, and it will not look anything like the wedding day, the exchanging of the vows. These days, weddings have just become some pageantry and flamboyant things that people are doing. Throw so much money around. There's somebody who spent 100,000 Canadian dollars on a wedding only for 6 months later for the two people to be divorced. It is not the cost of the wedding that's going to determine whether these people are going to stay together or not. Thank you so much, my darling. It is whether the two people are compatible. I know a couple. All they did, they got a dress each that they liked, went down to the court and signed on the dotted line and started life together with nothing. 40 years on, they're still together, playing around like little kids that have just fallen in love yesterday. Equally, I know people who spent so much money to get married. 10 page boys, 10 bridesmaids, and all of the full works. Traveled all over and had, a destination wedding. And a few months down the line, everything has broken up. They're not even together anymore. They don't even speak to each other anymore. And so it's not about the price of the wedding and how much you spent or none of that. Are you compatible? Do you understand the journey that you're embarking on? And are you going to do everything humanly possible to make it work? Because marriage, like anything else, is work. And if the two parties that are involved in it are not prepared to do the work, what it takes to make it happen, there is no marriage. It's not the wife's job to keep the marriage afloat. It's not the husband's duty to keep the marriage afloat. It's the two of you that are in the marriage, and both parties have their roles to play to ensure that there is success, there's harmony in your marriage. That is when your marriage survives the test of time. It's not about how many layers or tiers of cake you had, how many people you invited to the wedding, what sorts of food you served. None of that matters if the two people that are committing to each other don't even understand what marriage is all about. And it can be a rude awakening and a huge shock for a lot of people when they actually come to live with this guy and start to think that, I thought I knew this person. Not to know that I didn't know anything at all about him or her. And the last point that I want to make today is that, and I know this whole week we've been talking about relationships for a reason. The last point that I want to make before I have to run here is that, especially in our African setting, it's the point, it's the norm, it's whatever, that in most cases you have family members that are living with you in your marriage. But at the end of the day, it is you and your spouse that are in the marriage. If being in this marriage and having family members means that it is going to cause problems in your marriage, it's probably better that your family lives somewhere else. I'm not saying they can't come and visit you, they can't come and spend time with you. But depending on who these individuals are, if you allow too much family interference in your marriage, you just cause unnecessary problems for nothing. Most of the couples nowadays don't want to make their marriage work. They just want to enjoy and not work, forgetting that it's not a bed of roses all the time. Oh, sweetheart, thank you so much, Miss Nkiru. God richly bless you. Marriage, like anything else, is work. If you're going to be a team player in your office, it's work. Because you're going to be working with people with different personalities. And you have to harness the whole code or decode the whole thing about being able to tolerate and work with other people. Otherwise, you have problems all of the time. Any kind of relationship is like that, with siblings, with parents, because you're all different. You're never going to be the same. And it's the same thing in marriage. And so when you're having a baby marriage, a marriage that is not old, and you're still trying to get used to each other, that is no time to be introducing other complexities into the relationship from the extended side of the family. Because no matter what happens, loyalty lines will always be drawn. The man's mom is going to think that, well, this is my son, and they will never have an objective opinion. Likewise, the woman's mother is also going to think, well, this is my daughter, and I brought her up properly, and there's always going to just be total confusion. Family, oftentimes, are the last people to go to when you're having difficulties, because they're always going to side with whoever their loved one is in that relationship, and not always be objective, because, you know, they're blood ties and feelings are running high. And so the best thing to do is to keep family out of your relationship, out of your marriage as much as possible. We will be talking a lot about relationships this week. It's a topic that I love so much because it's one of the main things that is causing oxidative stress to a lot of people. A lot of people my age, younger and a bit older, every single person is complaining and unhappy because of something that is happening in their marriage. It's a make or break for a lot of people. And if you don't know how to navigate it, you end up with total heartbreak and unhappiness throughout your life. Miss Nkiru, thank you so much for being here. Sister Priscilla, God bless you. Suleiman, God bless every single one of you that are here, but I've got to run. I need to get back to work. I love you so much. Stay handsome and beautiful. And remember, marriage is work. If you're not prepared to invest yourself, commit to the marriage wholly, and do everything that is necessary to make it happen, please don't get married. Don't do it because Miss Nkiru is married, so Sika must also be married. It's not a competition. It's not a race. You have to be prepared for what goes into a marriage or a committed relationship before you get into one. A word to the wise is enough. And I love you all so much. Mwah. Take care and God bless you. Bye-bye.